Alright, now if you've watched Ghost 1, Ghost 2, and Ghost 3, you'll understand this one. If you haven't, oh well, you're coming in the middle. What are you gonna do? So, there's a park in Glendale called Clutch Park. It is haunted. And I mean straight up haunted. You're gonna get yourself scared shitless if you go there. You want a good thrill? Go there. You'll get scared as hell. So let's see what's a good story to tell you first from Clutch Park. There's so many good ones. Oh, first one. I went there with one of my bros, my bro Chris, cause we had nothing to do, so we were like, oh, let's go down to Clutch and let's go look at some scary stuff. As we're going down there, we start going through like the park entrance, and while we're going through it, there's like all of a sudden there's a huge fog, just a huge fog, and there we saw like a biker go past. I look in the rearview mirror. I'm like, dude, where'd the fog go? Like we get through it, and I'm like, dude, where'd the fog go? Did a Yui, came back, there was no fog anywhere. Like we didn't even go that far to even miss the fog. If the fog was still there, it was, we'd see it. So that was one of the scary moments at Clutch. Ghost sightings, ghost biker. So after I'd first gotten my car, I went down there and I met up with one of the guy that gave me the exorcism, or his mom, and we ended up talking. Haven't seen each other in years, so let's talk and get to know each other more and talk more and all this and that. So we started talking, and he so after we get done talking, we had seen a shadow figure, is what we call it. We saw a shadow figure in by the parking lot, and we saw glowing yellow eyes. I think for a second, and I looked at it, and I'm like, dude, let's go check it out. And like I'm the one that's like, oh, let's check it out. Now if I'm with people, I'm not scared, but if I'm not with people, I get scared shitless. So I'm like, come on, let's go. So I start walking, and he's like, man, no, I have a bad feeling. Let's not go over there. Let's go over there. Why not? And he had to legit grab me by my stomach. He just grabbed me by my stomach and pulled me back. He's like, no, we're going. So we get out. He's like, I have a bad feeling. Let's leave. So before we left, we heard chirping. And we heard chirping on one end of the park, and then we heard chirping at the other end of the park. And it would be chirping, chirp here, chirp here, chirp here, chirp here, and it was getting closer and closer. And it didn't sound like they were coming closer together. They were sounding like they were coming closer to us. So we left. He's on a scooter. I'm in a car. So we go. He was ahead of me, and it's like we were in the back parking lot. You have to kind of go through a zigzag to get back out to the road, like to the main, going through the park road. So we're zigzagging, and all of a sudden, I see a woman in a Victorian dress, legit looking at me, and she just points to where we came from. And I looked, and he had like stopped up ahead because he was like a block ahead of me, or like 100 feet away from me. And he had stopped, and he like was like, come on, come on. So I kind of drove up to him, like, wait. And I'm like, do you see that white chick? Do you see that chick? And he looked, and he saw her, and as she was pointing, you see a dark mass just take her out of nowhere. And then you see her running through the forest. And me and him just looked at each other, and we're like, let's get out here. I'll meet you by your house. Let me see where you live. And so we went back to his house to make sure he got home safely, and I was talking to him, and like I was like, dude, that's some crazy shit that we just saw. And he's like, yeah, I know. So later that year, I had taken my other bros up there. Oh, fucking shirt, it keeps writing up, and I don't like it. So anyways, me and my other bros went up there, and we were gonna like see the scariness. And I made up a thing. Like I was like, oh, you know what? Whenever those lights are out, you can never go up there. Like you'd be too scared to go up there. And they took the challenge, and we got halfway up there, and the guys had gone up and touched the building, and they came back, and they're like, oh, I don't know what you're so scared about, blah blah blah. All of a sudden, we're like in the middle of the path, and my one bro sees a guy sitting in a tree smoking a cigarette, and he like me and my other bro were kind of like looking. We're like, what do you mean? And we're like looking at the tree, and we're like, we saw him like as soon as he takes a puff, you know how a cigarette just kind of like lights up. We looked, we ran out of there. There was no way we were staying. So after that, I'm like, oh, I'll take you to past the witch's house. Now the witch's house is a legend, is what people say. There was an old lady that used to feed a lot of cats, so every time we went past her house, you'd see cats there, and she, the legend goes, is she died, and the cats ate her body, and so she haunts that area. Now it looks like a legit witch's house, like it is all in grow, like legit. It's like the witch's house and then a nice house, and it's like the one house has like all these like globes and wind chimes and what's the other one that had on it? And then it had globes, like lighthouses type thing, and then it had like the outside of it was like like a little wooden fence, and then it had like trees kind of overgrowing it, and then it had like vines on the house. So I'm like, I'm gonna take you past that. I'm gonna take you past this house. So we go past the house, and they didn't see anything at first. So I'm like, oh well, I'll go do a Yui up here. I go do like as I'm about to do a Yui, we see a girl in pink sitting on like on the porch, and we're like, not on the witch's house, but on the block that I turned around on, and it looked like she was like, you know, suicide girl. Like she's sitting there and she's just having a cup of tea before she goes to bed because she's gonna kill herself or something like that. So I turn around and try to go see her, and as soon as like I turned around, she wasn't there anymore. And it was like the amount of time that we turned around, you would have either seen her gotten up and go into the house, or you know walk to the other side of the house. She wasn't anywhere, like nowhere to be seen. So kind of freaked out about that one. And then we're going to the witch's house, and I had parked out in front. I was like, all right, we're gonna see this shit. Sure enough, the one big bay window, we see the witch looking at us. And the guys freaked out. We all ran to the car, and we stayed in the car. And then after the guys had gotten enough balls to go outside again, they got out of the car, and we walked out, and I saw the old lady. I saw a shadow move in the house. Now no one is living there. No one's supposed to be living there. Like I think her son may live there, but I'm not sure. But we see a shadow move, and then all of a sudden I saw a shadow move on the ground, like on the actual front lawn. And I'm like, fuck this, we're out of here. Ran to the car, got in the car, locked the doors, left. Um, Another one where um I was dating this one guy who was a ghost adventure. You know, he was the whole entire ghost investigator type guy. And when the team was called Lost Souls, and me and him were talking, you know, a little bit, and we ended up dating, and I stayed at his house a couple times. Like I stayed in there for like a week, 2 weeks basically, and me and him were talking where all of a sudden we heard, what did we hear? We heard something outside because we let the dogs out, and we heard somebody knocking like on the fence, and the dogs were going crazy. So me and him run outside and we're looking for this thing. We're looking for the people. And he kind of had like a mini golf course, like 3 holes, something like that, in his front yard. And so there was like a little shrub, like kind of like 8 foot tall shrub, and then there was like little, like it was a thorn bush. So there was no hell of people being in there. Then it was kind of like, little bushes, flowers, and then there was a river and shit. And I was like, we kept on hearing people. So I'm like, dude, you go this way, I'll go this way. So he goes around the back of the house, and I go around the front to see if we can catch these people. No. So I'm like, well, go back around. You go over that way, I'll go this way. So we go back, and all of a sudden, I'm standing like right by the door, and all of a sudden a rock comes out of nowhere, like legit a rock just whoosh, almost hits me. I moved. As soon as I saw it, I moved. And I'm like, the fuck? Hell no, someone throwing rocks now? So I get all pissed off and I'm about to go run outside and I'm like looking, I'm like, what the fuck? And I saw, like, I like did some like quick geometry in my head and I'm like looking from where the rock came and it had to come from behind the bush. And I looked behind the bush and there was nobody there. Like, if someone was there, you would have seen them running across the street and I would have called the cops immediately because they threw a fucking rock at my head. Now, I think what he didn't tell me is that there's a fucking ghost there. An angry ghost. Because someone didn't want me there. But then after the day he broke up with me, he got stabbed. But he didn't see who it was. But I did see the stab mark. He did get stabbed. And I looked at him like, who stabbed you? He was like, someone knocked at the door. I came out. And it was a hooded figure. And they stabbed me and ran. And I looked at him like, well then, who the fuck stabbed you? He wouldn't tell me. He didn't know. I didn't know. So that is what our pretty much my ghost experience has come to. I've had a couple other ones, but I'm pretty sure you guys wouldn't want to hear those. Oh, I got one good last one for you. This was my Nana. I'm pretty sure it was my Nana. Or my grandma's deceased husband, whoever. I was smoking pot in my room one day, and I always had my door shut, had a fan going, had the door open, or my window open, and had the door closed. So I'm smoking, and I start hearing pounding on my door, like someone was like home and they knew I was smoking. So I thought it was my grandma. So I quickly sprayed, nothing. And my grandma was already at work. So I smoked again and heard the knocking again. And then I heard it sounded like someone was legit walking up and down the fucking halls, like pounding on the walls. That is why I don't get high anymore, because I get scared shitless, because I know shit's happening. My senses get to sixth sense mode. So I don't think I should smoke anymore, but it was a really good feeling. Anyways, so that is my ghost experiences for all of you. If you want to hear about my demons, I guess you can watch my demon clip. Probably won't do it anymore tonight because I'm exhausted. So, night everyone. Have fun. Sweet dreams.